All right, ladies and gentlemen, hello. Welcome to the second publication event for the Low Country Shvitz, my brand new book of poems that just came out. Poems that I wrote last summer when I was traveling through the southeast, Savannah, Georgia. Last week, I read poems from Savannah, Georgia. Also went to Charleston, South Carolina. I'll be reading poems from that today. Asheville, North Carolina, and Charlotte, North Carolina are upcoming events in the next couple of weeks as well. Just some quick pop-up readings to share some poems from the book. Tonight, it's not tonight anywhere yet in America. Today, right now, this afternoon, I'm going to read some poems from Charleston, South Carolina. I'm wearing my Callie's Hot Little Biscuit t-shirt, which I bought in the historic City Market in Charleston, South Carolina last summer. And I'm going to be joined by my friends Roger and Lidia, bonafide Charleston, South Carolina residents, in a few minutes after reading a few introductory poems. Thank you so much for watching and being here. I'm excited to be able to share poems from this book with you, and it means a lot to me that you're watching. So before we get in, meet Roger and Lidia, I just want to read a few things from the book to give you a little flavor of Charleston. This poem actually was written at breakfast in Savannah before we drove to Charleston, but Charleston's on the mind. This one's called Breakfast. 1. We almost ate at the place where there are flat tops at every table and you make your own pancakes, but we didn't because what the hell are we paying these people for? 2. They have a coffee grinder so big at Blend's Coffee, it has its own zip code. That's the first poem. This next one, written actually by the time we got to Charleston, is called They're Made of People. While on an impromptu walking tour of all of downtown Charleston, we arrive at the Charleston Pier, where we find average citizens leaning over the fence to watch dolphins do what dolphins do. A young boy leans down to an even younger boy and asks, "Do you know what dolphins eat?" The younger boy looks up with the widest and most curious eyes, and the older younger boy says, "Babies." That conversation is everything we know about the relationship between these two young boys. This one is called, I have to scroll to the right page. This one is called In Our Hotel Room. When the air condition turns off, the light in the middle of the room lights up like lightning. This causes no great concern because the lightning we've been seeing outside has yet to cause me any problems. So why would a much smaller version located in this room be an issue? And 2 more poems before we get to Roger and Lidia. This one is called Burping with Wine and Cheese. I wrote this one at the French Quarter Inn where we stayed in Charleston. We've been lucky enough, Addie and I, to travel to a lot of cities and stay in nice places and have a really good time. And every time I leave a city, there's a sadness like, am I ever going to come back to this city? Sometimes it gets like that whenever I leave a building. Will I ever go back into this building again? In Charleston, the French Quarter Inn was this extraordinary hotel where they kept taking care of us over and over and over, from the breakfast they gave us in the morning to the wine and cheese hour in the afternoon to the cookie hour, for God's sakes, at night. We never wanted to leave this hotel, and it's one of the few places that I would say we would go back to Charleston exclusively to stay at this hotel again. So that's my Yelp review, or my TripAdvisor review for the French Quarter Inn. I'm not sure this poem, which is called Burping with Wine and Cheese, lives up to the complete ambiance of the place, but here you go. Burping with Wine and Cheese. 1. After burping during the wine and cheese hour at the French Quarter Inn, a man at the next table says, "Hell yeah." And I like to assume he was just super impressed with what I did. Actually, Addie burped first, and mine came soon after, which prompted me to announce, "Gather round, the Luperts have begun," to the assembled wine drinkers and cheese eaters. This, in turn, prompted Addie to try to find Debbie Friedman's song, "Gather Round," which I thought was a different song, and she tapped the table when I started to sing that one and say, "You're going to get that song out of my head." 2. I don't know why they serve the Cabernet cold, but I've been here long enough that it has transformed to an acceptable temperature. 3. We've had enough wine that Addie and I are now running through all the songs we know about frogs. 4. I'm confusing all the frog songs, and I don't know which one has a frog and which one has a hole. There you go. One more poem before we get to Roger and Lidia. This poem was written actually at the end of the first night after hanging out with Roger and Lidia, so we're going a little bit out of order, but I'm sure I had very good reasons for putting this one here in the set. This one is called Goodnight, Charleston. It turns out Charleston is rich with history too. This peninsula expanded by the waste of ships, where king and queen intersect, where revolutions turned over and over, where civil wars started, where through it all a building selling liquor has been doing so since 1686, where the old and new commingle on restaurant menus, where cobblestones make everyone's feet uncomfortable, where there is so much to do and so little time to do it in, where everything to write was written before. 2 eagles' nests on top of palm trees, artists on the street every day. I hardly know these streets, these hidden alleys. There are ghosts here too. Let them be. Well, there you go. That one, Roger and Lidia might recognize some of the things that they told me on this impromptu walking tour. So Roger and Lidia are here. A little bit of a backstory. 21 or 2 years ago, when Addie and I got married in here in Southern California, we decided that we needed to buy a house. It seemed like a good idea. And it was at the time when the real estate bubble hadn't quite burst yet, and anyone could get a house. You could just, walk in anywhere and get a house. And a lot of people who shouldn't have gotten houses got houses. And we connected with Roger, who was a real estate, a mortgage broker, I should say, at the time. Luckily, we were people who not only should have gotten a house, but did get one thanks to the efforts that Roger made, and it set us on a really great path to be able to be there for a while and to get into an even nicer place where we are now a couple of years ago. Fast forward 21 years, or I guess 20 years last year, it turns out that Roger had moved to Charleston, South Carolina. We hadn't really seen or talked with him since then, but why not connect with your old mortgage broker in a new city? It made sense to us, and we did, and we had a fantastic evening with Roger and Lidia, and they're here right now today, all the way from Charleston, South Carolina. Hello, Roger and Lidia.
Hi there.
Hello, this is Roger and I'm Lidia.
In case you
I
hadn't
kind of wish you guys had worn name tags. I think it would have been, we could have saved some awkward moments of identifying you guys. Like I said, we had such a great time talking with you guys, and you took us to this fantastic I don't remember if it was a vegetarian restaurant or if they just had amazing vegetarian food there.
Sorghum and salt. Yeah. It was a veggie friendly.
Yeah, veggie friendly.
It was like one of the best meals we've had in any city anywhere in the world, which is saying a lot as vegetarians. So like that was fantastic. And then you took us on this like amazing impromptu walking tour. It was great, and it's just so good to meet you, Lydia, and to catch up with you, Roger, after all these decades. And now there's no getting around it. We're friends.
That's right.
And you got to
like
come
it or
back.
not,
You
like
gotta
it or
come
not.
back.
Yep.
So one of the things that you told me at the time was you were living here in Southern California and you were looking to move to a new place, and I think you were just looking at lists of like the most livable cities or something like that and came up with Charleston. Is that right?
Yeah, we literally started with the best places to live in the USA list, and then started watching YouTube videos.
And you just decide, what was it about Charleston that like made you, okay, like here's the thing that I found really fascinating. You moved to Charleston, South Carolina after finding it on a list. You'd never been there. You bought the house that you live in without actually having seen the house. It was sort of like a sight unseen thing, which like is crazy and wild. Like is that
Yep.
right?
Yep, that was it was COVID. And coming from Los Angeles, it was time for a change. We'd had some great times there and made some great relationships, and it was time for a change. And so we did. We just thought, let's uproot everything. So within the span of a few days, we had new cars and moved across the country, new groups of friends, basically a whole new life.
And you said there was something that you said about like taking this risk. Do you remember what it was?
Yeah, well, so yeah, how bad can it be, right? It's sort of like either one of two things, should you ever wish to be in this position, are going to happen. One is you'll go and it's a crazy adventure and you look back and then you move away again, right? Or it turns out to be something that you love and build a new life there. And so for us, it has become home.
It turned out awesome.
Yeah.
You guys look really happy. You were seemed really happy when you are together. And so I guess it did work out. And that's just such a crazy thing. I mean, you didn't move there for a job. You didn't move there for family. It was just like, we need to make a change. Let's look up good places to go. And how bad can it be?
And the houses were a lot more affordable here compared to California. So it's sort of that, that Cali cash out that people talk about.
Which is a one-way trip.
Yeah, right. But we're living a lot more comfortably here now. So
that's amazing. What do you guys do with your lives now?
I make software, so I was working online, so for me it was easy move, and she took a sabbatical, and it was time for a change.
took a sabbatical. I just started working in HR again for Synovus Bank. It's a bank that's based in the Southeast region, and
remotely.
Yeah, remotely, 100% remote. It's amazing. And I was doing, acting and writing and stuff in Los Angeles, and with the writer's strike and everything right now, things are a little bit like on hold. I do have an agent out of Atlanta, but right now I'm just working my day job and enjoying life. So
did you not like just produce a pilot or something?
I did. Yes, Blood Drive, a vampire tale. I sent you the link. Did you ever watch it?
I think I don't remember, but I remember that you did this, and I remember thinking,
Okay.
I have to watch that because I love anything vampire.
You gotta watch it. It's real fun.
It's comedy.
Yeah.
It's basically a vampire loses money, drives Uber.
Drives Uber
Is
at
the
night.
5-word pitch. Right.
And then moves to Charleston for the hell of it.
And then moves to Charleston, but there's vampires out here, so it's okay.
Good
I think
town.
the tagline of that movie was, how blood can it be?
Yeah, exactly.
Is there like a link or something that we could, like, people can check it out, or is it available for?
It's on YouTube. It's free to everybody. It's just called Blood Drive, a vampire tale, and it'll come right up.
That's cool. Well, I'm gonna look for it. I'm gonna post a link to it in the Facebook
Thank you.
thing for this, so people can check it out in case they're like, I'm sick of this guy's travel poems. I really need to see like a vampire
Yeah.
thing now.
Vampire comedy. Yeah.
A vampire comedy. Anything else? Well, okay, I do have a question for you. That you may not be prepared for this question, and that's okay. Um, all of these cities that we went to in the South, we kept eating biscuits over and over and over. Do you have a favorite like biscuit place, or do you even eat biscuits for that matter?
We're
Not so often.
biscuit
They are a
people.
very southern thing,
Yeah.
right? And biscuits and gravy. So hopefully you got to try that, and you could have a biscuit flight. Sad news is a lot of the gravy's not vegetarian, but
Yeah.
vegetarian biscuits are easy. Vegan biscuits not so much. They use a lot of butter here.
I personally am okay with that. I'm not a vegan, and if you're going to have a biscuit in the South, you kind of just need to go with it. I mean, I'm not willing to eat sausage, gravy, but we had a lot of good biscuits, and I got this fine T-shirt out of it. Is there anything else you guys want to tell us about Charleston or you before I read some more poems?
It's a lovely place, and
How about the Southern hospitality and how we thought we're.
oh
gonna
yeah,
get
there is a
right?
key phrase here.
Oh, sorry.
If somebody says "bless your heart,"
That's-
it means a bunch of different things, but usually you are woefully misinformed, right? It's not exactly a good thing.
It's like the nicest way to say you're an idiot for whatever you just said.
Yes,
Yeah, kind of. Yes.
Exactly.
That's
Oh,
sweet.
bless your heart.
Oh,
That's sweet.
I wanted to share one culture shock. We went to Home Depot when we moved in, back and forth, and we're in the parking lot. We bought all this stuff, and this stranger man comes up to us and he grabs our stuff and is like, "We're getting mugged. What's going on?" No, this stranger just wanted to help us load our car. Like, there's people out here that were just nice and want to like help you, and we were just like, whoa. We experience that every day now.
That's amazing. That's definitely a bonus of not being in Los Angeles,
Yes.
where it's like
It's
they
very
will take
different
your
culture.
car and your luggage, and you will never see them again,
Exactly.
and you don't even get a biscuit out of it.
Right.
Guys, I really appreciate you spending some time with me today. I know I owe you a copy of the book. I'm going to send it to you. I'm waiting on my larger stash from the printer to come, and I'm going to send it out to you. And hanging out with you guys that night was really one of the top highlights of the whole trip, and certainly of Charleston, and the tour that you took us on. Roger, just like, well, let's just walk around Charleston, and you told us. I got so much information out of that, and it was cool. And the poem I'm going to read kind of talks about that a little bit. I don't know if I ever sent it to you guys or not, so maybe it's a surprise. But I just thank you so much. What a treat to know you and to be connected with you in this way.
Thanks, Rick.
Likewise.
And come back.
Likewise, yeah.
Come back. You can stay at the hotel, but you can stay in our guest room, right?
It's
Or visit the
it's-
hotel.
Mix and match. Both.
Yeah,
A little
exactly.
bit of both.
Exactly.
It's a tough call. That hotel week. Every time I mention the French Quarter Inn to Addie, like whatever she's talking about, if she's in a bad mood, I'll just say, the French Quarter Inn, and she'll be like, oh. You guys should take a staycation there, I think.
That's
We're gonna look it
We'll
up.
go visit.
All right. Well, Roger and Lidia from Charleston, South Carolina, thank you guys so much for being here today, and I really appreciate it. And this is just an open invitation to anyone watching to go stay with them, I guess, and see how it goes. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rick.
Great to see
All
you.
right.
Yeah.
I'm going to read a few more poems from Charleston, South Carolina, and then we'll call it a day for this quick pop-up reading from my book, The Low Country Shvitz, out now. This one is called Roger and Lidia. We eat dinner with our former and first mortgage broker, Roger, and his wife, Lidia, who moved to Charleston from Los Angeles on a whim. They'd never been here, bought a house sight unseen. How bad could it be, they thought, since it showed up so high on all the internet lists. They feed us at the best restaurant. They desert us too. Then we dessert, like the dessert that you eat, not they left us. They desert us too. Then we walk the city, Roger taking the lead while I ask incessant questions about what streets cross what other streets. I like to know the lay of the land, and he appreciates that. It could be a male thing, and we are both males, while Addie and Lydia converse a small handful of steps behind us. These are people who live their life deliberately. A reminder permanently around Roger's wrist says to do so. Roger made it so I could live in a house for the first time ever. That was 18 years ago, and he has turned from a mortgage broker into a person. I suspect he was always a person, but often the people we simply transact with never rise beyond the transactions in our hearts and minds. Well, thanks to dinner and conversation and miles on our tired feet, on cobblestones brought over on a ship in the 17th century, we have 2 new people in our lives. Welcome aboard, friends. And that's for Roger and Lydia. I'm going to read a few more from Charleston. This one, I went to sleep, I think, after writing that poem. And then I woke up and wrote this one. This one's called Good Morning, Charleston. This morning, I only have berries for breakfast as we're going on a culinary walking tour, and I want my stomach to be as available as possible for all the bounty that's coming its way. If you're painting a picture, please add in a small croissant, which people in America rarely pronounce correctly, as the berry plate was a little empty for my liking. As long as you're still painting, Addie just brought back a peach, sliced it up, and now that's joining the party. I hope it's a slow walking tour, and they've taken into consideration that some of us had just had breakfast, for heaven's sake. Did I mention the coffee at this hotel? It's better than coffee at most places. Addie just noticed an open lily at a table nearby, and this whole breakfast is becoming a still life situation. You are the artists, we are the subjects. We'll be considering this for years. This poem is called She Is. Addie shoos away a bug with a pleasant, "No thanks," and I imagine that bug going back to its friends and saying, "That's the nicest lady I ever tried to infest." And she is. Most of the poems in this book, if you're familiar with my travel books, are me just quoting Addie. I get a lot of pages out of her, as it were, not to mention a lifetime of happiness. That continues in this poem. This poem is called 3 Problems in Charleston. 1. Addie just can't with the out-of-tune church bells. "No, no, no," she chants as each accidental note rings. 2. Toast all day is not a bread products establishment. 3. The men's bathroom at the Mills House Hotel is right next to the storage room. I walk in the wrong door and they keep me on file for 250 years. That poem was called 3 Problems in Charleston. It's each poem is numbered with a Roman numeral. Addie is the person not only who stars in the book, but who proofreads it for me. And there's a lot of numbered poems in it. And the first thing she does when she gets to one of these poems that's numbered with Roman numerals is to just check the Roman numerals, because very often I get it wrong and then have to renumber like 3 through 25 because I just skipped 2 for some reason. And that one, which only had 3 Roman numerals, I think I went 1, 3, 3. And the poem is called 3 Problems in Charleston. And her edit note was, "Looks like we have another problem," or "Looks like there's 4 problems," or something like that. I'm going to read 2 more poems from this book this week. This one is called Never Rain, Always Kittens. It is raining heavy in Charleston. the kind of rain that could go on for 40 days. Addie says, let's go to Basic Kitten, but means kitchen. There's nothing I'd like more than to go to a Basic Kitten. I want to keep it dry and let it know I'm its friend. The water coming from the sky outside will make everything difficult. Thankfully, the wine in this dry room is making it easier for me to tolerate. The rain has never been my friend, only kittens. And this last one is called Good Night, Charleston. Addie is asleep, and I am using a dim light to assemble words I know in a manner that might serve to give meaning to the day. According to the clock, it is already a new day, but that hasn't stopped my fingers from assessing the weight of history. Nathaniel Russell bragged about the money he could make from selling a single human. A building so strong it survived an earthquake was put up to house human cattle. We walked through the showroom just like we might through Urban Outfitters. Another building, the oldest public one in Charleston, existed only to house the powder used to make guns of every size work. So much of what we seen was built using the hands of people whose descendants still don't feel free. What a country, America! We are the divided, the criminal, the forever red and blue feud. How embarrassing, I think, as I turn it off to eat cookie samples while the rain falls in Charleston. Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That is my poems from the Low Country Shvitz, written in Charleston, South Carolina. I want to mention that if you are interested in getting a copy of this book, there you go. You can go to that website, poetrysuperhighway.com/Shvitz. And again, if Ross Woolman, Cantor Ross Woolman is watching, I want to apologize for not spelling it Schvitz, which he really advocated for, but it's Schvitz. There, you can click on the link and get a copy on Amazon. You can read a few poems from it that are there as well. And because I think there's a little bit of a delay with the Amazon shipping because it's in the process of them processing an updated version of it, which has some typo fixes in it. I put a special up, special, where if you buy the special, the book is $19.95, but for $25, which you can buy right on the website at that link, I will mail you a signed copy, and you'll get an immediate download of a PDF copy of the entire book, cover to cover. I only have like 5 of those right now, so that's a limited time offer. If anyone is interested, just go to poetrysuperhighway.com/Shvitz, read the poems from there, click to get it on Amazon, or get that special if you want. And I also want to mention that I've got 2 more pop-up publication readings for this book. One next week at 1 p.m. next Saturday, an hour earlier than this week, or 4 p.m. That's 1 p.m. Pacific or 4 p.m. Eastern, where I'm going to be reading poems that I wrote in Charlotte, North Carolina, where I'll be joined by my friend Zach Singer, who's a really extraordinary musician and friend, and he'll be playing a song live in the Facebook live event. You don't want to miss that one. And I'll be reading poems from Charlotte. In addition, a North Carolina poet, L.B. Sedlacek, will be with me. She's a lifelong North Carolina resident, and I just gave her the task of, could you please explain North Carolina to us? So I don't know how she's going to do that, if she's going to read a poem, if she's going to just explain it. She used the phrase North Kakalaki. If that gives you any insight into what she's going to be talking about, we're going to find that out next week. And then in 2 weeks, on Saturday, June 17th, a little bit later in the day, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, I'll be reading poems from written in Asheville from the Low Country Shvitz. with Billy Jonas joining and sharing a song. He's also a friend, and he's someone who we visited, but he's also like kind of a famous children's musician. He's got songs on Kids Place Live, and just a really another extraordinary musician. So we'll be talking with him and hearing a song from him as well. Thank you all so much for watching. Thanks again to Roger and Lidia for joining me today, and pick up the book, The Low Country Shvitz. See ya next week, everyone.